Welcome back to The Girl in Ashes, where today I have absolutely no outline, no notes, and no idea where we're headed. So if this episode ends up being a complete train wreck, welcome, you get a front row seat. I'm going to be honest, I actually scrapped this episode about 14 different times. I created an episode 12, deleted it, re-recorded it, deleted it, scrapped it, thought about quitting, throwing in the towel, having a depressive episode, wondering where I'm going to go next. And then I just decided, why not just wing it? So here we are. Let's just be authentic and sit down and talk to each other. Hopefully, if we don't have a topic, we can just see what happens. But what's funny about that is, although I started with the idea of I have no idea where we're headed, something came out of it.
All right, now here we go.
You know what I find so funny is we spend most of our lives trying to be super polished. Like, we really want our stories to have a beginning, a middle, an ending, and we really want to know what the lesson's going to be out of that before we ever get started. What are we teaching people? What value are we giving? What's really happening? But life itself doesn't really work that way, right? So we are not always going to be polished as much as we try or as much as we want to. And sometimes life hands us a random Tuesday, a whining Wednesday, a day where one person hurts our feelings and it ruins the rest of the day, a day where we sit at a computer and say, okay, I've committed to 15 episodes in season 1. We're on episode 12 and I have no clue what direction I want to take or where I'm headed here. But what I'm hoping is that most of you are living somewhere in one of those chapters where absolutely nothing makes sense and you don't know what lesson you're supposed to be learning next or where this journey is really headed. You have an idea, maybe a plan, but truly have blinders on when it comes to where is this going. So if that is you, thank you for pulling up a chair, grabbing your cup of coffee, iced coffee, hot, Diet Coke maybe, and we're going to walk through a little journey together that I may have come up with on a whim. Here's what's really interesting. So this week I had a marketing masterclass Zoom meeting for Bomb Party Jewelry. Yes, that's a huge part of my life. And I do intend to do like a Bomb Party YouTube video soon. So if you are interested in what I'm talking about and have no clue, and maybe you don't even have a TikTok, that's okay, baby. I got you, because it is a huge passion of mine and something I'm very grateful for. Anyways, we were having a master marketing class on, I think it was Tuesday, maybe it was Monday. I don't know. I'd come home. It had been a rough day. I've been hitting a lot of hiccups recently. A little tidbit about me, a little follow-up, I suppose, is I had a primary care visit follow-up recently, last week, and she found something on my thyroid. I have hypothyroidism and have for about, 20 years, 25 years, something like that. And I do keep up with it, and I do keep up with my meds and things like that. But she thought she felt something, and this particular new primary care was just destined to prove to me that I am 1 foot in the grave. Like, I wouldn't suggest her to even my enemies. I'm just going to put it that way. She was new. I didn't know it first time meeting her. But I rolled with it and went Monday to have an ultrasound. And the whole time, the ultrasound tech was kind of like, And she looked at me and she said, "Do you feel okay? Are you dizzy? Are you having problems swallowing? I'm going to get this to the tech ASAP." I walked out and I thought, maybe I should be a little concerned. I wasn't, but kind of throwing some red flags up there, ma'am. And it was only like 5 hours later that I got the results. And it turns out I'm okay. So if you're listening to this and you're like, oh no, this is making a turn, I'm fine. Trust me. I have autoimmune disease, Hashimoto's, and I am in a horrible flare-up right now. which kind of leads into where I'm going with this. So Monday, after I had the ultrasound and the results and all of that stuff, I was just really tired. I've been very exhausted, even though my blood work's in the green. So I went home to listen to this master marketing class. And I was listening and dozing off a little bit. But what was really interesting in the class that I really took away is she was driving home your brand. What is your brand? And she was saying that basically me as a human, I am my brand, not the business that I run, not the jewelry that I sell, but what am I presenting to the world that I want them to keep coming back for more? So what is it that I am giving that makes somebody say, oh my gosh, let me look up her name and see what she's posted today. Oh, I know exactly where I can get that info from. And although it was sound advice, I sat there and I thought, I don't know. I don't know. It's such a weird thing to be involved in so much and to put forth so much effort into so many avenues and just go, I really don't know what I want people to say I'm searchable for. If I were to ask you right now, what do you want people to know you for? Would you be able to answer it? It's kind of crazy because why do we have to have one identity? If you follow horoscopes or anything, I am a Libra through and through, but I know that we don't follow that, but it is funny because it does have stereotypes that kind of land. And if you do follow it, you know exactly what I mean. I am very open to trying anything new, giving a new adventure, opening a new business. There's actually a hat out there for sale that says, I have ADHD, which means I need to put the laundry in the dryer, but instead I think I'll just go start a new business. And I'm like, if that is not a hat I need, I don't know what is, because that is so accurate. I laughed so hard when I saw it and showed it to my sister. I was like, you think this fits? And she's like, yeah. That was when I was at the cusp of starting this podcast, because I definitely have 3 baskets of laundry that need to be folded, and I'm here with you guys and thinking about where I'm going to go next with my next business adventure. But why do we have to settle on one? It's so hard to do so and to live authentically, which is exactly what I've been focused on. Rebuilding beautifully, being fearlessly authentic. Those are all of my taglines for the things that I'm doing. And even when it comes to you talking to someone about Christ or talking to someone about jewelry or talking to someone about makeup, I want to be honest and real as possible. I don't want to just sell you on a gimmick. I don't want to sell you on an idea. I want you to literally experience it and be like, wow, she was being legit. And so it's hard to say, oh, pick your brand of who you are, because I'm a zoning manager. I'm a bomb party independent rep. I'm a Celeste makeup dealer. I'm a podcast host. I'm a pastor's daughter. I'm a Sunday school teacher. I'm a musician. I'm a sister. I'm a friend. I'm a person who makes jokes when things seem like they're too heavily emotional because it makes me awkward. Yeah. Complex, multifaceted. And we're going to hone in on one? I don't see how that's really possible. And when we think about that as a journey that we take, are we really becoming somebody, or are we discovering who we are? And what I mean by that is, if one thing that we say in the Christian realm is everything is ordained. So our steps are ordained by the Lord. And I do believe that even in my darkest days, or if I'm running in the opposite direction, I still believe that my steps are ordained. Yes, we have free will, which is the beauty of it in a way. Sometimes there's a beauty and sometimes it's not. But we do have free will, but at the same time, I do think our steps are ordained by the Lord and meant for a purpose. I don't think that my dad really thought he was going to be a pastor for 40 years and a successful contractor when he was 18. Maybe it was a dream of his, but he had no idea where it was going to take him. My mother probably didn't picture when she was swinging her leg in a church with my dad nearby that she was going to end up being a mother of two and a pastor's wife for years. And my sister probably didn't envision that she would be single at this age, but having a fur baby that she loves to the nth degree, working from home, and technically a dream job for her at this point, and an ordained minister. And at 15, I definitely didn't think this is where I would be. So I don't know if we start our journey saying, oh, we're going to become something. And there are people out there that have said at an early age, oh, I'm going to become a doctor, and they do, or I'm going to become a nurse, and they do. But the other moving parts we're discovering as we go. And that's kind of interesting when we hone in on identity. I think all of us, in a way, struggle with identity. Even if you feel like you're the most secure person and you know exactly who you are, there are going to be rooms you walk into where you question that. And moments when you talk to people who make you wonder, not necessarily an identity crisis like, oh, am I really supposed to be Robin? No, but more like, did I really step onto the right path? Because like I said, we do have free will, and whichever path we step on does lead a different direction. And I was saying this the other day about a conversation I had with a friend just this week. This whole week has kind of led into identity and focus in everything that I've touched. I've struggled with finishing out these first 15 episodes of this podcast, to be honest with you. The first 11 came easy. These last 4 have been, where am I going with this? And it's kind of all dominoed together. Where am I going with this? The masterclass of finding out what your brand is. Talking to a friend whose decisions has led him to a place where he currently feels trapped. And being a part of his life for years, I got to see the multitudes of times where God said, hey, there's another path over here. It's scary. You've never traveled it. But if you take it, I'll hold your hand. And fear stopped that. He didn't take the path that he wasn't familiar with. He stayed on the one he knew. And in that same vein of speaking, our decisions in discovering who we are through ordained or unordained steps is leading us to figuring out the real identity of who we're meant to be. And what's the end goal of that, right? Like, are we just saying, oh, I'm doing it for my own satisfaction? No, it's all hardwired at the end of the day. I think so. For me, it is. Let's just make it personal. For me, it's hardwired. There was a purpose meant for me from the very beginning, and whether I really know the full extent of that at this moment in my life, getting older, every step and direction I take has led me down a path. Even in talking about episode 1, when we talk about my father, then we talk about my mother, we talk about grief, loss, boyfriends, and every step that I took led me down a certain direction. Now, did emotions and confusion and fear and all of that play a role into the girl in ashes? 100%. And maybe that's you too. You know that there's definitely a call. And maybe right now you feel like you're fully in it. There's people this week at our General Assembly who are doing teen talents and going to these events and going to lead conferences, and they feel right now they're deep in it and they are doing great. But there's no way to project what the next 5 years looks like. What will happen when grief comes knocking at your door? What will happen when a relationship knocks you to your feet or to your knees? What will happen when that support system that's strong right now walks into a different direction than you are? That's all part of discovering our identity, who we are, who we're going to be. And it's not saying that who you are today is not who you're meant to be. It's just there's building blocks that are still needed. And that is part of rebuilding beautifully. And so maybe your brand is not a business, but your brand is more when somebody tells me, Robin, I love you. I don't think they're saying it because I have knowledge about local zoning codes. I don't even think they're saying it because I sell jewelry or that I do a podcast or that I've decided to face my grief publicly or that I stay to myself because I don't want to be judged for who I'm trying to figure out I am or any of those things. When 2 people this week or 3 people this week have told me that they loved me, I returned a question. And that was, what is it that is your favorite thing about me? It's kind of funny now that I think about it. The first person's answer was your love. Their favorite thing about me was how I love. And I said, oh, that's really sweet. And their response was, seriously, you show unconditional love, and that's rare. And the next person, the way that you care for others. Now, I did kind of laugh at that because, sure, I do feel like there was a time that the caring caretaker version of me, the caring for others, was my main priority. Caring for mom, dad, my sister, children's church, whoever. Yeah, I loved it. I felt fulfilled. But I've been in a different mindset. So I don't feel like I'm that person anymore. But then they reminded me of, someone who called me at 9 p.m. the other night this week and talked for an hour and a half because they felt like they were in a dark space and that I was the person they could feel safe with. Or the friend that y'all got to see a sneak peek of who says, I love you because you're so honest. I love you because you don't fit a mold. And that's literally what she has said more than once, is that it blows her mind that I don't fit a mold. Yes, I'm multifaceted. I'm a pastor's daughter. I believe in Jesus Christ. I'm a Christian. I am angry with a lot of things. I am still weeding through the emotional baggage of all the way that things panned out in my life. I am a hard worker and I do love big. But it's not those titles solely. One facet is not the identity of who the girl in ashes is. And I know that's not the case for you either. I think sometimes we just want it to be so easy to say, this is who I am. But it's just not. It's not that easy. I think it's really interesting to start off with a whole week of struggling of where I was going to go with this. And every single day be reminded that this is a season where the tagline of this podcast is so true. I'm trying to rebuild beautifully. And in that, figure out, who do I want people to know me for? What do I want people to know me for? If I were to say it in this moment, I'd want people to know me for someone who'd show up for them no matter what. I want people to know me for someone that will listen and give sound advice. I want people to know me for somebody who is funny and sarcastic and has a good heart. I mean well. And I want to be known as someone who was successful. All of these adventures that I'm on are not just fillers. They're passions. I don't pick things lightly. And this is very much a passion of mine. I appreciate everyone who's given me feedback thus far, and we're not done yet. I do think that I will be going into a season 2 eventually. Season 1 is going to go until episode 15. By the grace of God, we will make it to 15. And season 2, we're going to captivate a lot of interviews. Maybe a little bit of a sneak peek, but I got surprisingly invited recently to a group of girls private chat who met me through my lives, and I have until today been confused as to why they wanted to include me in their lives. And it's been funny. It's been a funny journey. I have loved it. I'm so grateful for people who find me and just want me to be a part of their life. And it's such a good experience because I went for a long season feeling like nobody wanted me to be a part of their life. And I still might feel that way sometimes. But again, there's people all over the US who say, oh my gosh, like, why haven't I known you before? And I learned so much about these individuals so far. And today they were joking about being in my podcast to talk about their journey. And a little tidbit, I went to school for psychology. I absolutely love analyzing people. I love interviewing people. And trust me, I love breaking it down. So, something a little birdie, as my leader of Bomb Party would say, season 2 is going to have some interesting interviews. But let's not jump ahead. We've got a few more episodes to go. I said all that to say, what do you want people to remember you for? Are you still discovering it?